What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progressive Action TV show. I am your host, Tramel Thompson, and this is a very important show today. We're going to be talking with a New York City train conductor, Raven Haynes, who was a part of the heroic crew in the 36th Street mass shooting, terrorist act. The media and government is calling it. And I don't want to waste too much time. I want to get directly into this interview because, it's very inhumane how this company treat us. And I've been saying this for years, but I think it's better when we hear it come from other people's mouths who went through situations of their own. So without further ado, we have Conductor Raven Haynes. Raven, how you doing today?
How you doing, Jamel?
I'm good. Very disturbed by the conversation we had the other day. And for one, I want to thank you for coming on to the show and sharing your story because not only are you brave enough in actual terrorist act, you brave enough to stand up for your coworkers, and they're going to thank you for this for years to come. So I would like to say thanks for sharing your story. How long you been with the TA for?
I've been here just under 2 years. I make 2 years, September 7th.
Okay, and how have your experience been in these 2 years since you've been with the MTA?
With the exception of what actually happened to me on April 12th, my experience hasn't exactly been terrible.
It could have been better. Like
It could have I feel like with any job, it can always be better. There should always be room for improvement. We shouldn't have like a stagnant situation because obviously with the times changing, like our job should also change with the times. It shouldn't be like the same type of.
yeah, so you just feel like it's like an old system, and they haven't advanced or you know changed with the times as you said. So
No.
just to be clear, you were one of the conductors that was a hero during the 36th Street mass shooting. I would like for you to touch on that a little bit. Touch on that day, what you seen, and how you been ever since the incident took place.
Well, starting from when I actually got news that we actually had an incident, we were leaving 59th Street on the express track. We were maybe a train length away from 36th Street when my partner went over the radio and said, "Hey, we have a passenger report of a possible shooting on our train." And then we had RCC tell us, "Okay, we'll pull into the station, open the doors, and hold." At that point, I wasn't really sure what actually was going on. I just did, what we were actually told to do at that moment. And when I opened the door, they just made the announcement that attention passengers were being held momentarily due to a possible situation on the train. You should be moving shortly. We apologize for the inconvenience. The regular spiel that we were taught to say back in school car. I didn't know how bad it was until after I made the first announcement, and I looked out towards the front of the platform, and I saw, like, after I opened the doors, like the whole entire front of the platform was just engulfed in smoke. Smoke everywhere. You couldn't see anything. All you could really hear was like passengers screaming and people running. And it wasn't until like the R train had pulled in and we had, tried to get people on our train on that one that we realized like how bad it really was.
Got you. And how was the communication between RCC, that's rail control for the people who don't know, and the train personnel that day? Were they on point?
I don't want to seem like, rude when it comes to like RCC, but really didn't listen to a lot of stuff they said. Because at the time being, it's like they can be telling us to do something, but at the time it's like they're not physically there. Like they don't have eyes on the scene to know how to properly address said situation. Like for them, it's just reading off a script and then telling us what to do based on their supposed knowledge.
Got you. So they basically was not prepared for a situation like that. And me being a conductor myself, I could say that it seems as if they do read from a script and they don't know how to adjust to certain situations. And I guess that goes on with what you're saying is that they don't change with the times. They don't know how to adapt. Do you think that if you would have listened to RCC instructions, possibly you and others would have been put in harm's way?
I feel like if we would have sat there and waited for them to tell us what to do, the situation could have been a whole lot worse, as opposed to us telling them there are injured victims, there's people bleeding, we need help now. And then them just saying they like keep making announcements. After I made the second announcement and the D train pulled in, I just locked my cab door and went to help my partner. I wasn't thinking about RCC anymore. I went down towards the front, so our passengers on the platform physically bleeding. We had a trail of blood from our train to where the R train had pulled in.
Wow.
At that point, no longer listening to them telling us what to do and making sure that the people that are injured are being taken care of.
Wow.
And
Wow.
first, nothing really prepares you for that type of situation. Like to actually see people physically bleeding like that.
Yeah.
We got lucky that day because we actually had an ex-military personnel on that train to help tie off injured people's legs.
Wow. Wow. So, all right. So moving along during that day, what was the union response? And being attentive to the situation as far as with you and your partner, to make sure you guys were good.
The union wasn't there right away. The person we actually had there right away was actually a superintendent.
Okay. Oh, really?
We had Superintendent Hilton. He actually met us there after we had gotten evacuated from the train completely. Because what we were told to do was basically to make sure like our platform was evacuated. And after we evacuated our platform, after we got EMS to the train car they had to be at, we had to evacuate the southbound platform too. And then after we did that, we were told we couldn't go downstairs anymore. So the funny thing was a lot of our equipment was actually left on that train.
Wow.
And we weren't able to get it until like later on. And on top of that, we physically weren't able to get it. Our union reps had to go get it.
Wow. So how long after the incident did you actually have a chance to speak with your union reps?
Our union reps weren't able to get to us. Okay, so the incident itself happened, I want to say around maybe 8:23 in the morning.
Okay.
We didn't get one of our union reps really until after we got taken to the police station for statements.
Okay. Now, after the
they had us there.
Got you. After the statements, after, hours passed from the incident, how long before you guys started doing interviews with the news, mainstream media?
It was, I want to say that happened on Tuesday. We didn't talk to the media, I think, until that Friday or Thursday.
Okay. And who basically arranged that? Did the media contact you themselves or did the union arrange it? Who arranged that?
That, I believe, was the union. And we dealt with, I believe, was the MTA press.
Okay. So basically it was a collaboration between the MTA and the union as far as the media attention was concerned.
Yes. And they asked us if we want to do it. It wasn't like a forced action. It was, hey, like, do you guys want to do this? Like, are you interested in doing this? Because it was more than obviously just me and my partner. They had the other train crews that were involved also, and they wanted to make sure if they were interested in actually speaking on it. Because not everyone feels comfortable talking to the press or the media. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
No, that's a fact. But I definitely seen you in the forefront, leading the charge and being the spokesperson for the heroic crew that you were a part of. And actually, you and your partner and a few others have gotten a proclamation from the mayor at City Hall. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so we got invited to City Hall. We had a whole entire press conference for that. They had given me, my partner, and a few others, including a very amazing bus operator who worked way beyond her time limit that day.
You're probably talking about Paula.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Paula is good people. So, and then I don't know what came first. Was it the City Hall or was it the well, let's go back to the City Hall. What happened at City Hall? Who gave you the proclamation? Who was there? What was said?
Well, we had Mayor Eric Adams through Zoom when we got to City Hall. He was still technically confined due to having COVID, so we didn't physically get to meet him that day. But I think it was his second in command that actually physically gave us the award. Her name kind of escapes me right now.
Ingrid. Ingrid, yeah. So yeah, I seen she was there. I think I seen Jan Oliba there.
Yeah, was there.
MTA press, union press. I seen the union vice president, Canela Gomez there. And then what happened? Did the MTA award ceremony happen before or after the City Hall ceremony?
After.
After. And basically it was the same thing like the City Hall. I think that time you guys actually met the governor.
Yes, we met Governor Kathy Hochul.
Yeah.
And she gave us the citations.
Yeah. And actually I seen it seemed like during that award ceremony, they was just giving away awards to people who I felt didn't really deserve one. Because they wasn't actually there at the scene. You know, telling somebody to redirect a train is not, I don't know what they was thinking that day, but it seemed like it watered it down for me. Right? All right, so all these award ceremonies, you are a hero. You're a hero in my eyes. Now, did you go back to work or didn't you go back to work?
I did initially go back to work, thinking I was gonna be like okay with the situation. And then I want to say about a week later, when I ended up being back on the end line, that's when things didn't exactly pan out the way I wanted them to.
And what you mean by not pan out the way you wanted them to?
It's like when you go back to work, it's like you kind of expect it to be business as usual. You don't expect people to like be in your face and the the winning question, why are you here? And then having to hear from everyone, including people that are supposed to be our supervisors. It's like, that everyone's situation is different. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has the same financials as everybody else. So just be like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna just take this time off. Being that I am literally under 2 years, my initial idea was never to go out on comp. I was just trying to make the best of the situation and do what I had to do to make sure that I was set up personally with my finances.
Correct. So, you did. So basically you're saying that you didn't want to go out because you didn't want your financials to be affected, which is something to definitely, be concerned of. But how was your mental after the shooting and dealing with that? Was that a traumatic experience for you?
So the reason I ended up out on comp is because of the overwhelming situation with, of course, like, our supervision with the whole questions of why you here, people saying like, I would have taken the year off. And I guess as I was on the train, like pulling into the station at Stillwell, that overwhelming feeling turned more into a panic. And then that panic turned into an actual physical panic attack, which actually what put me out of work. I came into the station just thinking that, hey, I'm just going to be okay. I went to go talk to one of the dispatchers that I was, close to. And the minute I looked at her, instead of being able to talk to her like a regular, have a regular conversation, it turned into, oh my God, it was like the tears flood down my face. And I had to be like basically picked up off the floor because my mental state was not where it's supposed to be.
I mean, it's understandable. You was a hero during a mass shooting. You witnessed probably the most traumatic event in the subway system ever. And I'm surprised you went back to work so quick. So, all right, now you go out on comp. Did your comp payments start kicking in? Did you get paid? Like, what was the situation with the comp?
No. I'm about to go into, I would say, month 3. I make 3 months out the 19th, and I haven't been paid anything past my waiver release.
Wow. So hold on. Let's back this up a little bit. You were a hero. You was at City Hall, MTA headquarters. They paraded you around as a hero, and you get to the comp side to take care of your mental, and they basically abandon you.
That is pretty much exactly how I would put it. It's like, here I am doing everything you asked of me, but yet you can't do the one thing that your employees need, and that's to be taken care of financially when we do go out on comp.
Well, let's be clear. You didn't do what they asked. You went above of what they did not ask. Right? That's why they gave you proclamations in City Hall. That's why they gave you awards at MTA headquarters, because you went above what they asked. So we need to be clear about that. So 3 months, no pay. I'm quite sure. I mean, like you said, you was worried about going out initially because of your financials, and you only have 2 years on the job, and you end up having to go out and go 3 months without pay. What type of support did you have from the union during that time? Because it's hard for me to believe that 3 months go by, they don't check up on you to make sure that your workers' comp is in place. What actually happened with the union during that time, those 3 months, and counting that you did not get paid?
I initially didn't hear anything from the union. I had to actually reach out to them when I got closer to my 3-month mark, and obviously realized that I'm not being paid at all.
Wait, so after the cameras went off, after they stood next to you and got their shine in the media, when it was time to actually do the work, to check up on a member, to make sure you're getting paid, are you saying that they did not reach out?
No.
That's unbelievable. I seen the vice president, Canela Gomez, in plenty pictures and videos with you. Not even because this is a major issue. Really, Tony Utano should be reaching out, but the vice president of your department did not reach out to make sure that at least you were not getting paid, or were getting paid.
No.
Amazing. I mean, this is disturbing. This is heartbreaking. Because everyone knows of the problems that we have with workers' comp, and to make sure that you guys, out of everybody, was getting paid, it should have been you. In fact, I feel that the MTA should have paid you out for 2 years instead of a year. I mean, I just don't get this company, and sometimes I just don't get how the union do business either. So did you eventually reach out to anyone to get help as far as getting your payments?
Who did I initially?
Well, let's. But before we get into that, did you have any contact with the MTA? Like, did they controvert your case? Did they, like, what was it with them? Did you get any information from them?
I actually got information that they were actually going to fight me on the case. I didn't even hear about it possibly being controverted or anything like that until after I had spoken with the union, and Jesse had got a hold of the TA and was speaking to the TA to say that they have decided to change their decision to controvert it. But the thing is, I never got any information to say they were even going to fight it.
Wow. So for the people who don't know, controvert means that they're going to deny your claim. So you have Raven Haynes, a hero in Mayor Eric Adams' eyes, a hero in Jan Oliba eyes, but not a hero when it comes to the workers' comp department. Why do you think they controverted your case?
I've known that being out on comp has always been an issue for everybody, and I feel like they just want to make everyone's their life tougher, and I don't understand why. It looks like they always just want to force you to go back to work before you're even ready to go back to work. And with me, I know that most people, I feel like they force you to go back to work to give them a reason to not want to keep you there. Because if your mental state is not right, not there, not intact, that leads to you making mistakes, and mistakes cost you your own job.
And that is 100% true. The MTA have a habit of forcing people back to work who's not mentally and a lot of times physically ready to come back. And they put people, the public lives at risk by doing this, because right now, currently, they are trying to force you back to work by not paying you. If you're not getting paid, your bills is not getting paid. I don't know if you have children or not. Your children is going to suffer. I don't know your family situation. People are going to suffer when they don't get paid, and to not pay you, you know, for being a hero is very egregious. Now, you mentioned that you spoke to Jesse, and Jesse is the division chair of conductors. When did you reach out to Jesse?
I didn't reach out to Jesse. Jesse reached out to me after someone had spoken to me and found out that I wasn't being paid, and they were highly disgusted with that whole situation.
Got you.
So,
Yeah. So, what was the conversation with Jesse as far as getting you paid?
so Jesse had reached out to me on Friday. I guess like he found out later than he should have found out, so that he could, talk to TA and work on that. So he had said that TA said they decided to not controvert the case and work on processing a payment. But for me, it's like TA should have been dealing with that way before my 3-month mark. I should not have to even reach out to TA in the first place to make sure that I'm being paid. No one should have to reach out to TA to make sure they're getting paid when they've been put out for like a traumatic experience. Like no one should have to. You're already worrying about your own mental state. You should have to worry about your finances too.
That's correct. And how did Jesse tell you how he got them to not continue to controvert your case?
We never went into complete detail as to what he had said or what the conversation was like for TA to reach that decision. I know that he said that he would have more information by Monday since he didn't get back to me until after 5 p.m. And I know most of our offices tend to be 9 to 5 types of situations. And honestly, if you have people working 24/7, there should be no reason why your office hours should be 24/7 too.
I agree with that. Because accidents happen, around the clock here. Assaults happen around the clock here. So all right, Jesse did say that the MTA was going to change their mind. It's not 100% positive though. Did Jesse because I figured that this would have been a big PR nightmare, and I think that this should still be a PR nightmare for the MTA. As easily as the union stood next to you and paraded you around town and the other heroes during this terrorist attack, I don't understand why the union didn't go to the media in the first place. And if they have an issue getting you paid, imagine someone who didn't have an incident like yours, because your incident is top of the line. Let's make no mistake about it. It's top of the line. And if they won't pay you, imagine how they would treat your coworker, like me, who was spit on, another coworker who was punched, slapped, stuff thrown on them. If they not willing to pay you, then they for sure don't care about us. How do you feel experiencing this and your union representation of going through this? Do you have faith in the union? Like, how do you feel about the union after this?
Well, part of that also is my fault for not even going above and beyond to make sure that I was getting what I needed. I am not always a vocal person, and I should be a more vocal person. I've basically just been like, I've been just like kind of just skating by. Not the best way to deal with that, but I mean, I know we all deal with things like a certain way. And with me, if I'm upset or traumatized or anxious or any of those feelings, I tend to be that person that kind of just shuts down a little bit. Like I don't talk to anybody. I kind of just basically keep to myself.
Got you. But do you feel that they should have reached out to make sure that you was good?
I feel like, especially when it's a really, really bad situation, I don't want to say that they should obviously prioritize certain cases, but I feel like the worse of the offense, the more attention it should be getting.
Yeah.
If,
So yeah, got. So, do you feel that they was there for you in the capacity that they should have been?
I think they should have. I think they could have been better.
They
They should
couldn't.
have been.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I'm going to see what I could do on my end to help remedy a situation. It's sad that you had to experience a terrorist attack, mass shooting in the course of your duties. We conductors, we are not in the battle zone. We are not police officers. We're not in the war zone. For you to experience that alone, I know that that's traumatic. And the second part of the tragedy here is the company parading you around town like a trophy, saying, "Look at my worker," and then giving you they butt to kiss when it's time to really take care of you. Because I was always told you got to pay attention to what people do when the lights and cameras are off. And in your case, when the lights and cameras went off, the MTA abandoned you and gave you the second part of your tragedy, and the union did the same thing by abandoning you. And like I said, I applaud you for your heroic acts during the whole 36th Street incident. I understand that you're not getting paid, your partner is not getting paid, and there's absolutely no excuse as to why these things are happening. The MTA can make excuses all they want about workers' comp and how they do things right, but this is purposely done by this company. The MTA financially force you back to work. They know the average worker cannot go 2 pay periods without a paycheck, and that causes injured workers to come back to work unprepared and not fully healed. And this is their tactic. This is a part of their playbook, and the union is doing absolutely nothing to fight it. And I applaud you for coming forward, for telling your story. It's very important that the people hear your story. I could have told your story by myself, but I think that it was better for them to see you. And you kept that smile going. Your smile was there when you was doing your press run. It's here now. I know that you're dealing with a lot, and we're going to be in your corner. Progressive Action is going to be in your corner, and we're going to push the button in places we need to push it to make sure that you get paid, and the people who denied you your comp is held accountable. I think that they need to be fired. This will be a PR nightmare for the MTA, and it just goes to substantiate our stories of how they treat us on workers' comp. Do you have any final words for the people, for the MTA, for the union that you want to say about how you feel, whatever the case may be? I want to leave the floor to you.
Um, Especially with our situation, we were not physically trained for that. I don't think any amount of training would have even prepared us for that. And even with that, I feel like no matter what the incident is we went through, no one should have to be sitting there waiting for a paycheck from a company that expects us to go to work. We sit here and we work for years on years and years on end. And then when it comes down to going through something like that, a mass shooting, a stabbing on your train, anything like that, we should be taken care of. We shouldn't have to worry. Our training should be better. I get that we get our fire safety school and stuff like that, but what about when things like what I went through happen? Not everybody is going to react the way that me and my partner did. So people get, shell shocked, or they get scared, and no one's prepared for that.
Well,
Like,
you heard.
I'm
Yeah, got.
okay in the situation. I put okay very, broadly, because it's like it ends up being a fight or flight type of situation. Unfortunately for me, I kind of went into fight mode to make sure that the passengers were safe, seeing with my own partner. But what if it was someone who wasn't me? Like, you feel me? Like, what if it was someone that let's say, because we get people from all over all over, with different types of military backgrounds and stuff like that that have had bullets flying at them. What about the people that didn't grow up in neighborhoods that had stuff like that? What if they were, someone that grew up in a nicer neighborhood, never heard a gunshot before in their life, never saw anything like that? What do you have in place to help them prepare? Because that to me is horrible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from her yourself. I could probably do 10 shows off of the comments that she just made just now about training, about safety, about response. I applaud you for coming forward, Raven, and I'll be in contact with you until you get a check to make sure that everything is carried through the way it's supposed to be carried through, and if it's not, we will take appropriate action. So I applaud you for coming on, and I'll catch you later.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So that was Raven Haynes. You just heard her story. This is not politics. This is real life. And we must do better. All the smoke screen and mirrors, and I put water on the one line. I'm throwing parties. I'm at parades. But when it comes to the real work of making sure that members are taken care of, they know where to be found. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.